To talk about some of the models of communication. On one hand, we have the linear model, which understand the communication process as a unidirectional process between two representative parts, that is, the sender and the receiver. In this case, everything that is related to the communication technique, the decision making capacity, and the source of influence falls on the sender, while the receiver depends on the influence of the communicative actions of the sender. As part of the linear models, we have the proposed model of Shannon and Weaver and the Ladwell's model. On the other hand, we have the contextual communicative model, which try to explain the influence of context, time, and space in what is the subject of communication. In addition, the context will vary or change, taking into account the population by which it's surrounded or the population from which it's necessary to give or obtain a response. To carry out communication process, some cognitive process such as psychological, linguistic, and educational are developed since they are necessary to be able to use other processes such as perception, reasoning, intelligence, and learning. In other words, this communication process is going to be characterized by the development of rational activities that help us obtain information from our environment through perception, and in addition to obtaining new knowledge from others that we have already acquired in the past. Thanks to perception, we can form a mental image of the qualities of an object or situation, and this is the result of the process of selection, organization, and interpretation of the sensation that we acquire from our environment. On the other hand, reasoning is what allows us to solve problems, generate conclusions, and learn in a consistent way from the facts. In addition to establishing necessary logical connection, it encourages us to think, to order ideas and concepts. Speaking of intelligence, it is the one that encompasses other important capacities in the communication process, such as memory, attention, and language, which is the way in which we communicate. Intelligence helps us to obtain knowledge, and in the same way, it helps us to use it correctly. Finally, learning occurs throughout our lives and is the process by which information enters to the system and is processed to finally produce a reaction. This means that it's also a process of change as a result of the acquisition of new knowledge. Regarding to the communication skills that are developed, we can talk about four basic language skills, such as speech as the basis of oral language and one of the forms most used by people through the representation of words, gestures, intonations, ideas, and feelings. There is also listening, in which a good handling of words and sentence is necessary in order to transmit a logical and clear message and to understand its spoken production in a better way. In the same way, there is reading, which is an important component for the development of learning and allows the development of creative thinking in all areas of knowledge. Also, develops skills such as observation, attention, analysis, reflection, and stimulation. Finally, we have writing, which needs characteristics of logical reasoning, training and elaboration, modification of knowledge, and understanding of reality. Finally, we can also show the relationship between the communicative process and the interview method as a psychologist's work element. Since the interview is one of the communications tools as well as an important research technique in the area of the human science, it is also a process in which a meeting between two people, the interviewer and the interview, takes place with a defined purpose and where both verbal and not verbal interaction can be evidenced. In the case of psychology, communication occurs between the psychologist and the patient, the communication being capable of producing a certain therapeutic effect. In addition, in the case of psychology, what the therapist is going to do is guide the patients through the conversation in order to solve the difficulties that arise. There is to say that the interview makes possible a personal assistant of the patients in an effective way, since through oral communication it is possible to obtain a much more complete information that if we use, by example, a writing questionnaire. Well, now here we have all the reference that were used for the development of this activity.